So, have you ever been chatting with an AI and just stopped and wondered, how does this thing actually work? How does it feel so smart, so aware? Well, it turns out the magic really boils down to two key ingredients, a workflow and a memory. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly how those pieces fit together. Okay, let's get into it. First things first, we've got to talk about the single biggest problem with the powerful AI models that run these chatbots. Right out of the box, they have the memory of a goldfish. Seriously.
Just take a look at this. In the first chat, we tell the AI, "My name is Alice." And it's polite, right? It says, "Nice to meet you." But then, watch this. Literally, the very next question is, "What is my name?" And the AI? Totally clueless. "I do not know your name." It's like the first conversation never even happened. This is the fundamental challenge we have to solve.
So why does this happen? Well, it's because these AI models are what we call stateless. It's a bit of a technical term, but think of it this way. Every single time you send a message, the AI is meeting you for the very first time. There's no history, no memory of what you just said 2 seconds ago. To build a chatbot that's actually useful, we have to figure out how to stitch those moments together into a real conversation.
So, the first piece of the puzzle is giving the AI a workflow, a way to handle tasks that have more than one step. And in the AI world, we call these workflows chains. Just imagine you're building an assembly line for the AI to follow.
So, a chain is really just a sequence of steps that are all connected. But here's the really clever part. The output from one step automatically becomes the input for the next. It's a lot like an assembly line for information, or maybe like building with Lego blocks. Each piece just clicks right into the next one to build something bigger and way more complex. And this shows you how it works in the real world perfectly. You see, a single call to the AI can't do all of this at once, but a chain can. First, step 1, it asks the AI to generate an outline. Then, it takes that outline and uses it as the input for step 2, writing the actual content. And finally, it takes that whole article and feeds it into a third step for editing. It's a structured, repeatable process that just works.
Of course, just like with any technology, the way we build these AI assembly lines has gotten a whole lot better over time. The basic idea is still the same, but the tools we use are way more powerful and, well, elegant.
The old ways of linking these steps together were, let's just say they were a bit clunky. But the modern approach, which is often called LCLEL, introduced this beautifully simple idea, the pipe operator. You can see it on the right. It acts like a conveyor belt, letting you seamlessly pipe the result from one step directly into the next. It just makes the whole thing so much cleaner and easier to understand.
And this is what that modern, elegant chain looks like in practice. You start with your prompt, your question, you pipe it to the AI model to get a response. Then you pipe that raw response into something called a parser, which is basically just a tool that cleans up and formats the text, and you get a perfect final output. It's a simple, readable flow, question, AI, cleanup. And it's incredibly powerful. Okay, so we've given our AI a workflow. It can follow a plan now, which is great, but we still haven't fixed that goldfish problem from the beginning, have we? Having a great assembly line doesn't really help if the worker has no memory of what it just did. For that, we need the second key ingredient, memory. This is how we build an AI that can actually hold a conversation.
Memory is, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a specific component we add to our system that is designed for one thing, remembering what's been said. This is the brain that stores the context of the conversation, turning all those isolated questions and answers into one coherent dialogue.
And would you look at the difference? This is the exact same conversation we saw before, but this time we've added a memory component to our chain. We say, "My name is Alice." We ask, "What is my name?" And this time, the response is perfect. "Your name is Alice, as you told me earlier." Boom! Problem solved. By giving the AI a brain, it can finally have a real conversation.
But, it's not quite that simple. Just like our own brains, AI memory isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. There are a bunch of different strategies for remembering, and each one comes with its own pros and cons.
So what are our options? Well, we could just store the entire chat history. That's called a buffer. Or we could just keep the last few messages, like a window on the conversation. We could even ask the AI to summarize the chat as it goes along. Or we could get really specific and just have it track certain things, like names and places, which we call entities.
And this is where developers have to make some pretty tough choices. See, keeping the full history gives you perfect context, but it gets really expensive and slow. And that's because every time you send the conversation back to the AI, it costs money, and there are hard limits on how much text it can even handle at once. A summary is cheaper, sure, but you might lose some key details. The crucial thing to understand here is that designing AI memory is a constant balancing act between perfect recall and practical efficiency. You have to decide what matters more, cost or context.
All right, we have our two building blocks. We have chains to create the workflow, and we have memory to provide the context. So now let's put them together and actually build our smart chatbot. So here it is. This is the magic recipe, the core idea of this whole explainer. A truly smart chatbot isn't just one thing. It's a combination of a chain, which acts as its logical workflow, and memory, which acts as its contextual brain. You absolutely need both. You need the assembly line and the conscious mind working together.
And this right here, this is what it all looks like in the code when you put it together. This is the final blueprint. You can see it defines a conversation chain, that's our workflow, and it directly connects a memory component right to it. This simple structure is the fundamental architecture that powers the sophisticated chatbots we all use every single day.
So we've built an AI that can follow a plan and remember a conversation. That's an incredible foundation. But it definitely leads to a fascinating final question. What happens next? What happens when we give this thinking, remembering AI a set of tools that let it do things, like browse the web, run code, or interact with other apps? Well, that's when things get really interesting.